Joining us now for that conversation, CNN political commentator Alice Stewart, a former communications director for Senator Ted Cruz, and CNN political commentator Anna Navarro. Nice to see both of you. You know, let's move to Georgia to start first, if we could. There's been so much discussion. There was a lot of anticipation ahead of the debate on Friday night. Herschel Walker, of course, weeks ago setting the bar very low, as Victor reminded us with the sound that you played on Friday about that. But I'm wondering, there's so much talk now, the morning after, about how he did, how he didn't do. What's fascinating to me is, as Eva just said, she's talking to people outside the polling places. We're talking about the check. We're talking about the badge. She said they're talking about issues. Did Georgia voters get enough focus on issues, do you think?
Listen, part of the question is how many people actually watch the whole debate and how many people form an opinion based on the clips. The clips that I think are making the rounds, the clips that we're all seeing are the ones about the badge, which elicit a chuckle. I mean, at least it wasn't the badge from Toy Story. And this new interview where for the first time he admits that it's his check and that it's the mother of his child. Let us remember that for 2 weeks, he has been like the singer Shaggy. It wasn't me. It wasn't my check. I don't know who this woman is. And now, all of a sudden, that story changes. So the one thing that is confirmed throughout all of this is that Herschel Walker is a liar. There are people who are okay with that. Because as long as he is a Republican liar and the liar has an R behind his name, that's all they need in order to vote for him. But that's the confirmation that came out of this debate and this more recent interview.
Yeah. Alice, Eva just reported on the check. So I want to move on to this bizarre moment with this sheriff's badge during the debate where Herschel Walker held it up in response to a challenge from Senator Warnock saying that at least I never pretended to be a member of law enforcement. Here is the exchange with Kristen Welker this morning on NBC about that badge.
If anything happened in this county, I have the right to work with the police and getting things done.
Does that have arresting authority or it's an honorary badge?
It is an honorary badge, but they can call me whenever they want me, and I have the authority to do things for them, to work with them on things.
The National Sheriff's Association said an honorary badge, quote, is for the trophy case. Why make the decision to flash it at the debate?
That is totally not true.
He says he carries it around with him everywhere. Listen, beyond the badge, Herschel Walker also said that he had a military career. He did not. He said that he went to Quantico and was an FBI agent. He was not an FBI agent. Why continue to make these claims, and do they matter to you?
Look, I speak with friends and family back in my home state of Georgia, and they're not preoccupied with the badge and the latest story concerning the check, the focus on the issues. I don't think the badge is a great idea. I don't think he should have pulled it out at the debate because it took the focus off of the issues that are important and put it on a gimmick that he's trying to promote. But the goal for the campaign is to put an emphasis on crime and make sure that voters understand that he wants to defend the police and not defund the police, as some on the left want to do, and put an emphasis on the work he has done talking with law enforcement officers across the state of Georgia on mental health issues. Look, Herschel Walker is a flawed candidate, but people in Georgia are looking at this now as a binary choice between the policies that he will implement moving forward in Washington versus the policies that Raphael Warnock will implement moving forward. And they're looking at what policies will help them in the future, not what Herschel Walker may have done a decade ago. And they're looking at his emphasis on fighting crime, working on reducing the inflation, helping the economy, and also supporting our military. And Republicans I speak to in Georgia are looking more at the issues than the intricacies of what happened a decade ago.
In terms of one of the issues, and Alice, I'm going to stick with you on this one because I'm curious your take on it. So Carrie Lake was on over the weekend with Dana Bash. She claims she is all about fair, accurate elections, but as she's doing that, she's continuing to repeatedly pushing election lies. I mean, she's feeding her own misinformation loop, and sadly, pretty effectively. She's also refusing to accept a loss if, in fact, she did not win. She was very clear in not answering that question. Why is that still okay for the party, Alice?
I don't think it should be, Eric. I've said ever since this first came up, we should do everything we can to instill confidence in our election process. the same election process that Donald Trump won is the same one that he lost, and he needs to embrace that fact. And I'm really disappointed that Kari Lake didn't take that opportunity to tell the people of Arizona that our elections are fair and they are free and fair for people on the left as well as those on the right. And she thinks she might have been careful not to answer the question directly by saying that she thinks she's going to win and she will accept those results. But having served as Deputy Secretary of State in Arkansas before, I do have confidence in our election process, and anyone who's running for office should do everything they can to encourage people to vote and not discouraging them by continuing false claims of election fraud.
Anna?
Look, the reason that it's okay with so many Republicans is because there's, 400 election deniers on the ballot. And so if you start saying it's not okay, that means that you're voting against those 400. And the reason that they stick to this story is because that's Donald Trump's story. And many of them owe their nomination to Donald Trump. Kari Lake owes her nomination to Donald Trump. Mehmet Oz owes his nomination to Donald Trump. J.D. Vance owes his nomination to Donald Trump. Herschel Walker owes his nomination to Donald Trump. And like so many. And they don't want to antagonize Donald Trump. They don't want to lose that Trump support. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. And I think Republicans, many Republicans have made the decision that we don't care if he paid for an abortion and lied about it. We don't care if he's, what they're lying about. We don't care if they're denying the elections. As long as they are Republican, it's a binary choice, as Alice just articulated, and this is our choice. Everything else goes out the window.
Alice Stewart, Anna Navarro, always good to talk to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.